I knew something was wrong the moment I saw the dust moving without wind. Wild dogs don't circle like hyenas. They flow, silent, coordinated, patient. And that morning, from the edge of the grassland, I counted at least 5 of them slipping through the tall grass toward the same point. That was when I spotted the baby elephant. He couldn't have been more than a few weeks old. Too small, too slow. Standing alone in the open, spinning in tight circles, crying out with sharp, panicked calls that echoed across the clearing. There was no adult in sight, no protective wall of bodies, no rumble from a matriarch, just silence where a herd should have been. The dogs closed in. One darted forward, snapping at the calf's hind leg. The baby stumbled and nearly fell. Another lunged from the side, teeth flashing, testing his reaction. This wasn't a hunt yet. It was an assessment. They were measuring how fast he could turn, how far he could run, how long he would last before exhaustion did the work for them. I slammed my foot on the accelerator. The vehicle burst through the brush, branches cracking against the hood as I aimed straight for the clearing. I grabbed the rifle and fired a warning shot into the air. The sound ripped through the savannah. The dogs scattered, but only a few steps. They didn't flee. They spread out instead, circling wider, eyes locked on the calf, waiting to see if I would leave. I jumped out, keeping my body between them and the baby. The calf backed into me immediately, pressing his small, trembling body against my leg. His skin was warm, his breath rapid and uneven. He was exhausted, terrified, alone. Wild dogs are relentless. If they decide something is theirs, they don't give up easily. I fired another shot, closer this time, then reached for a flare and launched it into the grass. The explosion of light and heat finally made them hesitate. The pack leader, a lean male with a torn ear, locked eyes with me for a long moment before signaling retreat. They melted into the grass. But I knew better than to relax. They were still out there, watching, waiting. I crouched beside the calf and scanned the horizon. No dust clouds, no movement, no distant silhouettes. Elephants don't abandon their young, ever. If this calf was alone, something had gone terribly wrong. Leaving him wasn't an option. The dogs would return the second I turned my back. I keyed my radio. "Base, this is Jonah. I found a lone elephant calf in the southern flats. No herd in sight. I'm going to track." I started searching for signs, broken branches, pressed grass, fresh dung. About 40 meters to the east, I found it, a faint trail. Large, rounded footprints heading toward the low hills. Recent. The grass hadn't sprung back yet. I followed it. The calf followed me. He stayed so close his shoulder brushed my knee, stumbling every few steps, determined not to lose me. I slowed my pace to match his. Every instinct in him screamed not to be alone again. We hadn't gone far when I heard it. A low growl. I turned, slowly. On the ridge behind us, the dogs had reappeared. 3 of them this time, sitting, watching. The leader was there. He wasn't rushing. He didn't need to. They had time. I tightened my grip on the rifle and kept moving forward, never turning my back on them. The trail led toward a dry riverbed, and I felt my stomach drop. That was when the ground ahead began to move. Not dogs. Something much worse. Across the riverbed, dark shapes rose from the dust. Heavy bodies, curved horns, a buffalo herd. Dozens of them. And we were walking straight into their path. The lead bull lifted his head and locked onto us. The baby elephant pressed against my leg and let out a small, broken cry. I stopped breathing. This was about to get a lot worse. The bull didn't charge right away. That's what made it worse. He just stared, head low, nostrils flaring, reading every movement I made. The herd behind him shifted in a slow wave, muscle, horn, dust, blocking the riverbed like a living wall. One wrong step, and they'd run us down without hesitation. Buffalo don't need a reason. They only need space. I lowered the rifle, no sudden motion, no challenge. I angled my body sideways and started to drift left, one careful step at a time, guiding the calf with my hip. The baby elephant trembled so hard I could feel it through my pants. He tried to back up, then froze. unsure where safety was supposed to be. The bull stamped once, a warning. I stopped immediately. My heart hammered, but I forced my breathing to slow. The calf let out a thin squeal. I pressed a hand to the side of his head, not to comfort him. Comfort doesn't matter out here, but to keep him still. Movement triggers everything. For a long moment, nobody moved. Then the bull lunged forward in a mock charge. Dust exploded beneath his hooves. The calf panicked and tried to bolt. I grabbed his ear gently and pulled him back into my side, anchoring him. If he ran, the herd would follow. If the herd followed, we were done. I kept walking, slow, wide, never looking the bull in the eye. The herd tracked us with their heads, every horn turning as one. A second bull drifted closer, shadowing our path. 10 meters, 8, 6. My mouth went dry. Finally, after what felt like an hour but couldn't have been more than 10 minutes, the tension broke. The bulls stopped advancing, the herd's line loosened. They returned to grazing with heavy, annoyed snorts, as if we were nothing but an irritation. When we reached the far bank, my lungs released all the air at once. I looked back. The ridge behind us was empty. No dogs in sight. That didn't mean they were gone. It meant they were smart. I refocused on the elephant tracks. The trail was clearer here, pressed deep into the soft earth of the riverbed. It led toward the hills, into a cluster of scattered acacia trees. I quickened my pace slightly. The calf tried to keep up, ears flapping, legs wobbling, determination holding him together more than strength. We climbed. The sun rose higher. Heat thickened the air. Flies gathered around the calf's eyes and he shook his head, miserable. I kept scanning for any sign of the herd. Broken branches high above my head, fresh dung, the sharp smell of elephants carried on the wind. Then I heard it. A low rumble. Distant. Real. The calf heard it too. His head snapped up. He released a sudden, hopeful call and surged forward, stumbling into a run. I followed, pushing through the brush, and the world opened into a wide slope, dotted with trees. Elephants. A group of them, adult females, 2 older juveniles, and 1 tiny calf tucked between legs. They were feeding calmly, ripping leaves with slow confidence. Relief hit me so fast my knees nearly failed. The baby elephant screamed in joy and ran toward them, and for a split second, I believed we'd made it. Then the nearest female swung her head, ears out, body rigid. A warning rumble rolled from her chest like thunder underground. Another female stepped forward and stamped. A third lifted her trunk and blasted air, dust spraying. The baby elephant skidded to a stop, confused. He took another step. The first female charged, not a full charge, just enough. A message. Her tusks cut the air in front of him, close enough that I felt the wind of it from where I stood. I sprinted, grabbed the calf by the shoulder and yanked him backward, throwing my body between him and the elephant's legs. The female stopped short, towering over me. For a moment I thought she would finish it. One step, and I'd be crushed. But she held. She stared down at the calf with cold certainty, then turned away, signaling the others to regroup. They weren't his herd. The baby elephant let out a broken cry, as if the rejection hurt more than the teeth of the dogs. He pressed against me again, shaking, not understanding why the only thing he wanted was the one thing he couldn't have. I backed away until the herd relaxed and returned to feeding. My mind raced. If that wasn't his family, then we'd been following the wrong trail. And the longer we searched, the closer the dogs got to finishing what they started. I looked behind us. On the distant ridge, 3 shapes appeared again, perfectly still against the sky. Wild dogs. Watching. Waiting. I pulled the calf tight to my side and turned back toward the riverbed. We had to start over. And this time we had to be fast. At the fork in the tracks, I stopped and forced myself to look carefully. 2 trails. One deep and wide, many elephants. One faint and narrow single adult, a lone adult female. That made no sense. Females don't travel alone unless something is wrong. The baby elephant lifted his trunk and sniffed. His ears rose. He released a short sound, soft, excited, certain. Then he ran. He ran toward the faint trail like he knew exactly what waited at the end of it, and the dogs behind us began to move too, not rushing, closing, Quiet. We were running out of time. The calf ran with a certainty I didn't question. I followed, pushing through the tall grass as the faint trail climbed toward the low hills. Every instinct I had screamed that we were exposed. The dogs were still behind us. I could feel it. Not close enough to see, but close enough to strike when we slowed. The trail led into a shallow bowl of land, sheltered by scattered acacias and broken rock. The air smelled different here. Heavy, musky. Elephant. Then I saw her. She was lying beneath a wide acacia, half in shade, half in sun. Massive. Still. At first glance I thought we were too late. No movement, no ear flick, no dust rising from breath. The calf screamed and sprinted the last few meters, colliding with her head, pushing with his small body, trumpeting in panic. He nudged her trunk, her face, her shoulder, begging her to rise. She didn't. I dropped to my knees beside her neck and pressed my hand against the thick skin, searching for a pulse. The skin was warm. Too warm. For a moment I felt nothing. Then, slow, faint, there it was. She was alive. Barely. Her eyes were dull, unfocused, breath coming in harsh, uneven pulls. And then I saw it. Her right foreleg. Just above the knee, swollen grotesquely, the skin stretched tight and pale, an abscess the size of a melon, infected, angry. Every step she took must have been agony. That was why she'd fallen behind. That was why the calf had gotten too far ahead. That was why he'd been alone. Behind us, a sound carried across the grass. A low, chattering yip. The dogs had reached the edge of the bowl. They stood there, 5 of them now, silhouettes in the tall grass. The leader stepped forward, testing, calculating. A wounded adult and a calf meant opportunity. I raised my rifle, but I knew it wouldn't be enough. I grabbed the radio. "Base, this is Jonah. I need veterinary support immediately. Adult female elephant, severe leg abscess, calf present. Dogs closing in. Send everyone." Static. Then a voice. "Copy. Team is en route. Hold position." Hold position. The dogs advanced. I fired a shot into the dirt in front of them. They split, circled wider, waiting. They had patience, more than I did. Then something shifted in the grass behind them. At first I thought it was the wind. It wasn't. Shapes rose silently from the shadows at the edge of the clearing. Large, grey, massive. One by one, elephants stepped forward. Adult females, their ears spread wide. Their bodies formed a wall between us and the dogs. The matriarch came last. She didn't charge. She didn't need to. She rumbled, a deep, rolling sound that vibrated through the ground itself. The dogs froze. Every instinct they had told them they were suddenly very small. The leader hesitated. Then he turned. The pack vanished into the grass without a sound. The calf turned, stunned, then let out a high, joyful call and pressed himself back against his mother. The herd closed in around them, shielding them completely. I stepped back, my role suddenly finished. Minutes later, the veterinary truck arrived. Dust, movement, controlled urgency. The herd watched, tense but allowing us close. The sedative worked quickly. The mother rose, trembling but standing. The incision released a flood of infected fluid. The relief was almost immediate. She leaned into the herd as we worked. An hour later, the wound was drained, cleaned, treated. Antibiotics administered. The danger had passed. As the sedative wore off, the mother reached for her calf, pulling him close. He pressed against her chest. Safe. Finally still. I stepped away, heart pounding, hands shaking now that I didn't need them steady anymore. The matriarch turned her head toward me and rumbled once. Low, controlled, not a warning, acknowledgement. At dusk, the herd began to move, slowly, together. The mother walked without stumbling. The calf stayed glued to her side. They disappeared into the gold of the savannah. I stood alone in the clearing long after the sound of them faded, thinking about how close we'd come to losing everything. About how help doesn't always arrive with noise or force. Sometimes it comes quietly, from the shadows, right on time.